G'day guys, well, Billy Goat Bluff Track. Now, it's getting a fair bit of press at the moment, and apparently it's changed somewhat since I last drove it, about 4 months ago. So it's only just up the road. We're going to go and drive it again, and we'll see just how much it has changed. So come along for the ride. Let's go and check it out. Billy Goat Bluff Track, let's go and check it out. See what they're all talking about. Apparently it's changed somewhat. Let's go and find out. Okay, here's the start. Billy Goat Bluff Track, eh? Let's go and have a look. Before we go, let's lock her into low range, because it's certainly a low range track. Second gear, I'm actually going to use my rear locker, as I've explained many times before why I do that. Always run the rear. Tyre pressure's down nice and low. Got a 20 psi in the back and 18 psi in the front, so it's, pretty much standard tyre pressures. Well, we're locked and loaded, low range, rear locker's in. Let's go and see what's going on with Billy Goat Bluff Track. It's just a good fun always, this track to drive, regardless what sort of condition it is. But one thing with this track is never changes, and that's the steepness of it. It's certainly a very steep track from start to finish. So it rises in elevation 1200 metres in just 7 kilometres. So it just gives you a bit of an idea on how steep this track is. One that always needs to be taken with a great deal of respect. So, looking forward to having a go at the challenge. I was cruising up this first section just in third gear low range because I got the reduction gear. It certainly helps be able to climb up in a little bit higher gear, which you might be coming up here in maybe second or first, whatever. I'm sure I'll be back to second gear. No time at all. Here we go, here's one of the first challenges. Let's have a crack at second here. Look at this, being a bit cut out here. This is where lockers are certainly going to come in. Well, that wasn't there last time I came up. Alright, pretty tight this switchback, so just take it pretty wide enough anyway to get round. You should get round it, no worries, in one go. Now this next section here climbs pretty steeply straight up here. This is generally a good climb, this one. Stop and have a look if you need to, but get straight into a great climb, straight up. Generally plenty of traction, good rocky solid base in it. Just love this track. It is great fun. Yeah, just approaching that final climb now up to the helipad. We'll pull up here and jump out and have a bit of a look. Great start to the day, that's for sure. Oh, Billy Goat Bluff Track. Well, this certainly wasn't here last time I drove it, so look out. A little bit rougher. But this is one of these sort of tracks, if you struggle in this first half, if you're coming up from the bottom, by the time you get to this helipad here, if you found this first half pretty difficult, I would seriously consider about whether you go on and take on the second bit, because it does matter what condition the track's in. This next bit, looking up that hill up there, is certainly a lot steeper and a lot more challenging the second half after the helipad. So when you get here, if you've had a few nervous moments getting from the road up to here, really think twice about whether you push on and do this next half, because it is a lot steeper and a lot more challenging than that. But we'll get out and have a look. Love it. off the helipad here. Fairly steepy sort of a drop off coming down through here. First, second gear low range, no worries. This is one of these tracks, you know, as I say, there's a couple of sections here where you can pull over and, you know, have a bit of a break, and depends what time of year and what time of day it is when you drive this track. You know, but if you're driving this on one of these sort of hot days, you know, up in those 30-degree temp days, well, you know, you probably want to do it in a couple of stages. Let your full drive, pull it over, let it have a bit of a cool down before you, particularly when you take on this second half. Because once you start this second climb here, it's a commitment climb, there's no turning back. So, yeah, well worth pulling over and, one, give yourself a break if you need to, but certainly give your vehicle a bit of a rest, because they're going to work pretty hard on this track here, like most of the tracks around the Vic High Country, but this is one here, this section where your full drive is going to be working really hard and temperatures could get up, and I have seen a number of full drives, you know, overheat on this track. So just keep that one in mind, depends what time of year you're driving it. Now, there's certainly a lot more of these rock ledges now that have sort of come out of the track since I drove it. When was that, back in November or something like that? I think it was 4 months ago. You know, there's been a fair bit of rain up here, certainly over the close weeks, but over the last few months there's been some decent rainfall over this area here. So yeah, it's starting to expose all these rock ledges, and that's not such a bad thing, because these rock ledges are going to give you a fair bit of traction, that's one thing for sure. But just make sure you've got those tyre pressures down nice and low. And certainly nothing with a highway tyre should ever touch this track or anywhere in the Victorian High Country, or any full driving, full stop for that matter. Highway tyres and full driving, fair dinkum, should never be used in the same sentence. Righto, what have we got here? Now, it's going to go back to second gear here. Second gear low range, again got rear locker in. Just got to make sure you pick your lines through. Try and keep those tyres on the ground as much as you possibly can. You know, it all looks great, you know, when you get wheels up in the air spinning, that sort of stuff, but it's fair dinkum, it's not ideal for giving you traction when you want to go forward up a track. So keep those tyres on the ground as much as possible, pick those right lines, and this is just magnificent fun. This is a great rock ledge. Oh yeah. That section. I don't know what the next one is. Alright, now what do we got? One thing never changes this track, and that's the steepness of it, that's for sure. It's always steep, but you just never know what the terrain's going to be like, and any of the tracks around the High Country, anywhere for that matter. They change all the time with some rain, a bit of traffic on them. You know, there's a lot more rock again exposed here. Look, you don't need lockers. Yeah, I've got front and rear lockers, it's all great. The one thing lockers does, that's for sure, it enables me to travel through, you know, lumpy, rocky stuff like this at a lot slower pace. Whereas if you don't have lockers, sometimes, you know, you've got to go through with a bit more momentum just to get you through whatever the challenge is that you're faced with up in front. The other thing too, you know, when you've got wheels up in the air spinning all around the place, you know, when they come back down, that's when you've got a fair chance of breaking CVs, front ends, all that sort of stuff. So not an ideal situation to be in, getting tyres and wheels off the ground spinning in mid-air. It's not good at all. Steep, loose, rocky section here. Again, nice and steep, plenty of rock in it. Now, second gear low range, that sweet spot there, rev range sitting up around sort of that 2.5 mark at the moment, between 2.5 and 3. You know, for my gearing, it's just an absolute perfect range, and second gear low range for this sort of stuff. It's crawling up here. Still only got that rear locker in, not using the front. You always want to keep something reserved just in case you do need it, so don't go playing all your cars at once, and keep that front locker out just in case you need it. and also reduces some of your steering too, so only use that front when you really need it. But at the moment the back's in, just working an absolute treat. Yeah, and the other thing you've got to take into account too, especially with lockers, if you've got front and rears, you know, you can break things very, very easily. It can get you in a lot of trouble. Lockers, as you know, as handy as they are for getting through, you know, terrain like this, just crawling your way through. I tell you what, if you get tyres off the ground and when lockers, wheels that are all locked up, all come back down again, that's when things can go bang, and just got to be very careful. That's why I say, keep those tyres on the ground as much as you possibly can. Section here. Now this section is here all the time. It's where the wombat holes are, so cars that have got four drive that haven't got lockers on them with independent front end suspension, they get all crossed up here, and that's where these holes get dug. So you just got to pick your lines through here if you haven't got lockers in them. In the back of your vehicle here, crawl your way through. Oh, bit of rock in this. It's a bit loose there. Now here's a section here. Look at the wombat holes in this. So again, if you haven't got lockers and you hit this section here, you are seriously going to have to really pick your line, crawl your way through. Look at that, pushing through there, no worries. But that's one section there that's certainly challenge you out if you haven't got lockers in your vehicle. But again, just pick your line through. You might have to go through with a bit more momentum than what I have. But pick your line through and if you get through, maybe you're right. A lot of rock ledge in around now. Feeding and reduction gears, they're just amazing things. I absolutely love them. 42% reduction from what I had from standard. Just magnificent, particularly in country like this. Keeps going. Once you leave that helipad, it's pretty much no turning around. It's a commitment track. So a lot of the rock's been washing down the track, exposing all these rock ledges here. Here, Mighty Patrol just loves this country. It's great. It just goes to show, you know, just how much a track can change. You know, if you might have driven it a month ago, 6 months ago, it might have been pretty easy back then, which it kind of was when I drove it back in November. But she's very different now, only 4 months later. So it just goes to show how much tracks can change with a bit of weather on them, a bit of traffic. Very, very unpredictable. A bit like the Victorian High Country. One thing I love about it, just never know what it's going to throw at you. Magnificent place. And the tracks are a bit the same. Righto, that's sort of certainly over the worst of it up to here. So we're now coming up to the, what they call the bluff up here. Now this is a spot I often pull over here for a bit of a look because it's well worth pulling up here, check out the view. Magnificent view looking back down to the helipad. Got a little spot up here, I'll pull in there and give the old patrol a bit of a break and look at this view. Pretty narrow little ridge line this. So yeah, it's a bit tight, but wide enough for one vehicle, and that's certainly about it. Righto. Oh, how good's that? Oh, magnificent. Righto. Oh, it's going to pull in here. This is my little spot here. Stopped here many times before in the past. Give that engine a bit of a cool down. Now, the other thing too, you know, I don't have a turbo timer on this, and when it's been working as hard as it has, it's always good to let your turbo cool down, especially turbo diesel motors. Now I've got the EGT gauge here, which is still sitting at the moment around 250 degrees. So I just let the motor run, and the thermo fan under the bonnet, that's still running as well. So I don't turn this off until that thermo fan cuts out. Once that cuts out, that's when it's time to turn the motor off then. So we'll keep it running. It's not going to roll anywhere. We're on a hill and surrounded by rocks and mountains. It's not going to roll anywhere. Handbrake's on. I'll leave it going until that fan ticks off. Get out and check out this vehicle. Very nice spot there. Well worth stopping for a little bit of a look. If you come through too many vehicles though, you're going to find it a bit hard to stop there, but if you've got one or two, generally squeeze in that nice little spot. Righto. As I say, that's certainly the worst of it done now. And, you know, a couple of rocky sections here to get up over the top. But the end of Billy Goat Bluff Track is near. It's amazing how much the terrain changes once you go over this hill here. It's like dropping into sort of very sort of rainforesty sort of stuff. It can be very wet and boggy. This next section, once we get over the top here and start going down the other side. But you've certainly passed the worst of it if you get that far, that's for sure. Maroka Road, the end of Billy Goats, is only just down the road here, not far at all. As you can see, like I mentioned before, how much the track changes. Gets very sort of boggy and can be quite wet and boggy in this last little section out to Maroka Road. So yeah, just need to be careful, but at the moment today, yeah, not too bad. Nice sunny day and pretty dry, so not too bad at all. Righto, that's Billy Goat Bluff Track. 4 months later. So I'm just going to back out now on Maroka Road. Just going to pull up here, take it out of four-wheel drive, unlock those hubs, and might head up to have a look at the pinnacles just up the road up there, or you know, turn right here and head back towards the Cola. So get these hubs taken out and we'll make up a plan from there. First, take that out. There we go. Well, there you go guys, that's Billy Goat Bluff Track 4 months later from when I drove it back in November. It certainly has changed a fair bit since then. Now I'll chuck a link up above up there, check out that video, because that's the video of when I filmed it back in November, and you'll certainly see it's a very different track now, that's for sure. So time for me to get back out Maroka Road, see where the next journey takes me, but until then, look forward to seeing you guys on another one of Tim Bates' 4-wheel drive adventures.